Welcome back to the YouTube channel, guys. This is Divij Vaswani. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Before we get into today's topic, make sure you guys hit that like button, turn the post notifications on, make sure you subscribe. It really helps me. Let's be honest, the channel is going to continue to get 30 to 40 views until you guys make a difference and help me out. So it would be greatly appreciated. But with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Today we are talking about these 6 best investments to make in your 20s. Number 1, guys, invest in yourself. This is a time where you need to be very smart with the money that you are making, right? So if you have a corporate job and you're making $50,000 to $100,000 or more per year, you want to make sure that you're spending only a certain percentage of that money on your rent, on your daily expenses, right? So let's say you're making about 10 grand a month. You want to make sure that you're spending $3,000 or less on your rent. Obviously, renting in places like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, it can get super expensive, right? So it's okay if you're spending a little bit of money on a place that you live. Just make sure that you're not spending too much, because guys, the point here is that you're saving money and you're able to invest the money that you've saved. You don't want to be spending it on the weekends. You don't want to be buying alcohol all the time. The point is to be putting it in a place where you're going to see not only just a financial return, but more so a return in terms of your knowledge, your skill set, and also investing in tools for yourself. Because I'm talking about tools that are going to help you in your industry, right? So if you're in real estate, a great investment could be buying a real estate license. Another great investment could be actually buying a course on real estate. You could also save up money and then actually go look into buying potential fix and flip properties, right? There's a lot of things that you guys can be doing with the money. So the first thing is investing in yourself. Number 2 is buying a reliable and used car. Now look, you're in your 20s, right? I get it. You want to flex on the weekends. You want to take your new BMW or your new Mercedes out and you want to take it to the new clubs and show off your new car. But guess what, guys? What if instead of spending $500 or $1,000 a month on a car payment, you took that $500 to $1,000 and put it in the stock market, and you actually would see, a 7 to 10% return on your money, right? Now that's a smart investment. Now buying a luxury car in your early 20s, look, I've done it, right? When I graduated college, the first thing I did was I went and bought a Mercedes, and I had it for 2 years. But I actually ended up selling the car last week, and I already feel so much better because I don't have to make that $450 payment every month. I can take that money, invest it into courses, additional gym memberships, or boxing lessons, things that are going to actually help me grow as a person. Why don't you just take that money, take a portion of it, buy a used car that's actually going to get you from point A to point B, and then in the future, once you've saved money and you've made a lot of money, you can then go out and buy a car that you really like the Rolls Royce or the Lamborghini. The point is that you want to be able to get from point A to point B. If you have a meeting to go to, if you have a gym to go to, you can take your car and go there. So the best thing to do is go on Craigslist and buy a used and reliable car. That's 5 or 6 grand. That's going to take you where you need to go, but you're also not having to make those crazy payments every month, right? And the other thing is car insurance, especially in your 20s, can be super expensive. Let's get straight into number 3, and this one, by the way, is my favorite. It's going to help you see the best return financially on your money, and you guessed it, guys, that investment is real estate. So guys, the beautiful thing about real estate is that there is so much out there and there's so many options for you guys, right? So let's think about it. Everyone needs a place to stay, right? Now the great thing is there's different opportunities here. You can get a rental property, you can buy a duplex and do what's called house hacking, where you live in one unit and you rent out the other. That other tenant in that other unit is actually going to be paying you a monthly rent, which you can then use towards your mortgage, right? So that's called house hacking, which is actually on this list as well, which we're going to get into. When I'm referring to real estate, I'm talking about buying an investment property and holding it as a rental property, or using it as a fix and flip, so hiring contractors, painters, and actually adding value to the property by renovating the property, and actually in the future flipping the property for a profit, right? So that's what I call real estate. And I think there's so many different opportunities out there, especially in your 20s. When you're making a good amount of money from your corporate job, you can take that money and save it, and then eventually go leverage what's called OPM or other people's money, aka the bank's money, and actually go purchase real estate. They typically say that you can afford up to 3 times your income. So if you're making about $100,000 a year, you can afford up to about $300,000 worth of real estate. All right, guys, so number 4 is so crucial, and trust me, this is one that I actually am currently still working on, and that is hiring an incredible CPA, aka an accountant who's actually going to help you with your taxes. Okay, so that's number 4. Now guys, there's so many different business and tax advantages out there, right? You can defer capital gains, you can do 1031 exchanges in real estate, you can, you can do a lot of write-offs if you have your own business. There's so many different ways to save money, especially on taxes, and that's why I would definitely recommend finding an incredible CPA who can help you file those taxes and sort of point you in the right directions in terms of strategies that you should take for your business. So a lot of these things can, some of these things can include, should you lease or finance a car? What sort of things should you be writing off? What sort of day-to-day expenses should you be paying for with your business credit card versus your personal debit card? There's so many different things to consider, and a CPA is going to give you all that advice. And luckily enough, my sister is a CPA, so I'm able to sort of leverage her skill set towards this. So number 4, guys, is definitely hiring an incredible CPA. With that being said, let's get into number 5. Guys, so number 5 is something that I started doing about 2 years ago, and that is stocks and index funds. Guys, the great things about stocks and index funds, I can't spell. Guys, so the great thing about stocks and index funds is you're going to see a lot higher return than the money just sitting in your bank account, like your checking or savings account, earning less than 0.5% of your money. If you take your money and you put it into a company, right? So you actually become an owner in the company. You've actually purchased. So if you buy, let's say, 5 shares of Apple, you actually have become an owner in Apple. You actually own their stock, right? So when you're taking your money and putting it into the stock market, you're actually investing into companies that you believe in, or if you're doing an index fund, it's a portfolio of companies that you believe in, right? So the great thing about index funds is it sort of gives you diversification. It's a little less risky, and it's definitely a great investment for the long term. If you take that money and you put it into an individual stock, you're putting it into a company that you think is going to be around for the long run. There's so many different great tools that you guys can use. I would highly suggest using Robinhood. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's an absolutely incredible app, especially if you're a beginner and you're just starting out. They don't charge you any broker fees, so you don't have to pay any sort of fees when you're actually making a trade. So if you have $10,000 and you want to buy, let's say, 600 shares of Spirit Airlines, wink wink, you can go do that without having to pay any fees. So definitely go check out Robinhood, guys, and keep in mind that when you put your money in the bank, it literally goes there to die. So make sure you guys are doing number 5. And these are actually new sources of income for you, right? So let's say you're making $100,000 from your job and you decide to put $20,000 into the stock market and you're collecting 5 to 6% per year from that stock portfolio. You've actually created a new source of income. So number 5 is so crucial. And with that being said, let's get into the last one, and that is house hacking. So guys, house hacking is absolutely one of the best things that you guys can do in your early 20s, and I actually plan to do this for probably the next couple of years, right? And that is buying a place, right? So buying a condo, buying a 2-bedroom house, or buying a duplex, and actually living in that property, but then renting out one of the other bedrooms or another unit, if it's a duplex, to somebody else who is then paying you rent every month. You can actually take that rent and contribute it towards your mortgage. Also, what you're doing is you're not paying any sort of landlord, $3,000 to $4,000 a month for your rent. You've actually now become the landlord. There's actually a feeling of ownership, and you actually have equity in the property, right? So you will have a mortgage, and I know that can definitely be daunting, but I promise you guys, if you're able to afford it, I would highly recommend trying to do house hacking, because it's going to give you a free place to stay, and you're actually going to become a landlord, which is super cool. If you guys have any questions, go check out my mentorship program down below. We're basically doing bi-weekly calls where we talk about all things real estate, house hacking, and pretty much everything that we covered here today. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, turn the post notifications on. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. All my information is down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.